Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Badaducci titled Part 2. And if we switch over to here, this track is coming out I think in mid-November. It's not November when I'm reviewing this, but just letting you know if it's out now, you can go listen to this track. I'm listening to Part 2 today. I've reviewed Badaducci's work before. I think an album of theirs titled For Your Consideration, if I'm not mistaken. I had a great time with it. This is more of their music, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. What do we got? I love the lo-fi aesthetic immediately of those synths, so gorgeous.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Lily on the track, what you gonna do? I swore 12:30 I was over you, and now it's 3:30 and I can't get through. What do I do when I need you? For the back and forth, can I come on through? Swear this roller coaster crazy, cause when you love me I'm crazy. Late night call, let me pull up, or are you being lazy? You can't face the feeling when I'm in your arms, or what it leads to. He don't love you like I do. You say you moved on, but does he know your mind like I do?
Right, my brother there.
And it seems I can't get over you. In the back of my mind I still love you. Without you I am nothing. I'm nothing. I gotta find my life without you, babe.
Great vibe shift with the drums.
I moved on, then why I need you close to me? I don't know. Hey yo, new nigga, new tags, new whip, all brought by him. Slim waist, thick thighs, ass fat, good lord, I like that. Can't nobody take my love away. 4 coupes and a Maybach. Missing you, man, I hate that. Come home, make love, forgive me, move on. We fight like Vietnam. Too funny, man, a sitcom. Looking crazy, yeah, cause you did me wrong. I thought we were lifelong, found a new nigga. He ain't me, so I guess you gotta sing along. I miss you, please come back. I miss you, please come back. No one does me like you. Can't nobody do you like me? Tell me that you want me back. I come running back like I'm running back. Cause you the one made for the comeback. Without you, I'm nothing, so hurry up and come back. It seems I can't get over you. In the back of my mind, I still love you. Without you, I am nothing. I'm nothing. I gotta find my life without you, babe. I swear I moved on, then why I need you close to me? I don't know. And it seems I can't get over you. Another song just to find peace without you.
I like how the vocals go through the sides of the stereo field. I think that's really cool.
I gotta find my life without you, baby. Without you, boy.
That's right, just had the instrumental section at the back to sort of really appreciate. So that was part 2 from Badaducci. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I think I did. We're going to talk about this more in a moment, but I just want to say before we go into it, sometimes I listen to stuff and I need to go and listen through it again, but it's just nice to have something that's just a bit more accessible. So let's go, let's do it. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Badaducci titled Part 2. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about someone who just wants to get back with the person they're with before. They love them, they want them back, they had a great time with them, and there was, I assume, some animosity. They might have been fighting, they might have been having a really sort of terrible time, but they're on the back of their mind and they really want to have like a part 2 with them, another chance at it. I feel like a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that. I'm sure that most people haven't necessarily married their first loves or whatever, or they've not been with people and realized they wanted to get back with them. So I feel like this will be accessible for most people. They'll be able to understand what's going on here. I think the vocals that go behind that story that tell it are effective. We have a mixture of sort of more clean sort of sung vocals and some rapping parts in the mid-range that I thought are great. I appreciate the attention to detail in regards to making a more sort of interesting experience by varying the way that we sing. I think that we handle both well. We're comfortable in our vocal range. There's an interesting use of vibrato and stuff in a hidden chest voice. And I like the way we stage things. It's great that we are comfortable in that position in the frequency spectrum, that we know to put instruments sort of around that and to not sort of compete with that. We don't really have any other sort of lead elements that kind of clash up against it too much in those parts, so I think that's a smart move. Because I don't think there were any other lead instruments within us. I think it was mainly the vocals that were centerfold. And I like the fact that with the clean vocals, we had some interesting melodies with great use of a sort of vibrato and stuff when applicable. We had vocals on the sides there, like cool responses, as well as some harmony parts there, which were great. So that made things more intriguing in regards to post-production as well. But also just again, the rapping section in the middle for a bit of extra context there was great. It's like kind of an ABA thing with cleans, rap, cleans at the end. And it was dope. It was a nice way to flesh it out. So the track at 3 minutes 20 works really well as a single. It's between a 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, which I quite like. And it basically was composed of synths, keys, bass, drums, and I think there might have been strings, keys, synths, bass, and drums. And that's all you really needed. Like there was filtering of certain elements to kind of make it a bit more light, low key there at the start there to kind of, and then we raised everything up. The vocals are nice and bright and everything else came up along with it. And it was compelling. There was a chord note groove to the drums for the most part. They're very sort of comfortable in the kick snare and sort of cymbal patterns there. It wasn't the same the entire time though. Actually, no, it wasn't chord notes because there were like 8ths and 16ths in some of the parts as well there. So we had different drum beats where we had some 16th note grooves in like the chorus sections there, which were kind of fun. There was a bit of sort of funkiness to those. And the vocals sort of as a more of a sort of like a continuous layer floated well along those. We had the keys that were sort of in unison with some of the hits that we had on the kit there. Rhythmic unison worked really well. Filling the mid-range, there was a great sort of clarity with those without being too bright. I like the fact that there was some extensions in those chords as well that illustrates sort of complexity of the situation. There were no sort of harsh edges to that either. We didn't have any sort of like massive sort of lead runs or anything like that sort of overcomplicate the leads, as I mentioned before, with the vocals being there most part. But it was cool. Like at the end there, you know, like you could hear the keys clearly with the bass and the low end there, and it was nicely niched in that lower end, low end subs there, where it didn't interfere too much and was comfortable, and it just provided a great sort of foundation as more of sort of a legato, a long form texture that could be sidechained to the drums and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. And there are even parts where we didn't have the drums at all, which I appreciate, just allowing us to sit with, again, the bass and some of those synth or key patterns there. And there was an interesting sort of like bum, 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 bum. So either a synth or like a brass layer or something like that, which wasn't... Actually, I take that back. That was, I suppose, it was like a sub lead, wasn't it? It was... Yeah, no, that was a sub lead. So like there was a sub lead, the vocals were there for the main point, and that sort of traded off with it, which was kind of nice. It just wasn't like a dedicated solo section or something like that. It was more of kind of like a complimentary sort of thing to kind of keep things sort of elegant in certain parts there. But again, I feel like the different instruments coming together like that, they niched well texturally with each other. Like again, there weren't any sort of harsh edges or like uncomfortable moments. We did well in terms of handling a theme that I think was contemporary and chic and fashionable and, you know, like definitely functional and musically sound. That also, again, with the extensions and the harmonies, communicated a bit of the complexity of the situation. Still tried to be sort of more of a dance track, to not be sort of like too low key. Like there was a filtering and stuff that made it just a bit more sort of like emotive and sort of sensitive. But again, the grooves and stuff were kind of meant to be sort of more like, yeah, you can kind of dance along, nod your head to it. It's cool. It's just not being too sort of up and in your face. And when we're talking about the subject matter that we are within this track, it makes total sense. I think things were quite well balanced in the frequency spectrum with no filler in the track at all. And then of course we had that fade out at the end, which was really nice and classy as well. It's just a great way to end things if you don't necessarily have that lead layer kind of sticking over top. And yeah, I've got no complaints whatsoever about the way it was composed. The theme makes sense. The vocals are sitting well on top of it makes sense. And it's just a studio recording and mixing and mastering where we've got sort of like look at that finally. And were there any issues with that? No, not really. I think that things are well leveled. There were no issues within the frequency spectrum. Things were nice, light, and neat. And the vocals went on different sides, and other instruments sort of surrounding you in the headphones. There weren't any weird resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. There was dynamic range to it, a bit of automation with the volume at the end, sort of bringing it down there, which was kind of cool. It was nice and loud without pumping, without it being too much. So the bus compression limiting was handled. And we could just sing. We just carried a solid vocal performance, so didn't need to overproduce stuff there, which was nice. And I mean, effectively, this was my review of this track and again, with the filtering, before I finish, with the filtering at the start and other elements there, kind of removing the higher elements to kind of have more of a low mid-res to go back into it being, again, just post-production stuff, which I appreciate. But thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an ex named Badaducci, titled Part 2, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias, and I'm sure this will be on all digital streaming platforms. So stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.